technically pay for any of it out of my own pocket, which is
Right.
super nice.
Right.
I
You
could
get
put
Kevin to pay for it.
exactly. I could definitely help them out and start doing like just a ton more of it, which I put the money towards that. But also, I'm thinking um, with today's day and age, in my age, social media is huge for marketing, and being able to blast posts out and specifically boost boost them to individuals and like different realtors in different areas so that you know that they're getting your message and that it's not just out to the general public.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that you guys? Those are two really solid approaches. Those are two pretty traditional approaches, and I love both ideas.
Yeah. I'm sure there's other great things out there too. I want to hear them.
Yeah, right. Well, here's a unique way that I'm going to expose you guys to. So just kind of follow this path with me a little bit, and trust me when I say this, it'll be impactful at the end of our conversation. Not just based on your convenience. And by meaning of convenience, most people that shop for a loan on the internet, are they after service or value, or are they after price?
Price.
Okay. If you consider who you would like to work with versus who you have to work with, if you had the choice, who would you rather work with? Somebody you liked or somebody that you felt like you had to work with? Like somebody who beat you up and, you know, conditioned you and really just commoditized you. Who would you rather work with?
Liked.
Like? How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Okay,
Someone
that's pretty fair. Yeah, right? So would it be a stretch to say that if we had the chance to spend some money, we might be better off investing that money? I think you'd have a better chance at getting a deal, a closable deal, sooner by investing in somebody that already knows you, likes you, and trusts you versus investing in a postcard campaign that sends out 100, gets 4 calls, and nothing comes of it?
Yeah, probably.
Probably?
Yeah.
No, neither approach is right or wrong. It's just the difference in mindset. And here's what I was told, and I didn't make this up. This is not mine, so I can't take credit for it. But when I got in the industry, the gentleman that brought me in sat me down and asked me, he goes, I'm going to give you $500, and I want you to figure out how you want to spend it to generate business. And he says, before I give you the money, how are you going to spend it? And I said, very similar back in 1990, 96. It was I was going to go to a print shop, print out a bunch of cards, and go, pass them out in apartment complexes. And he looked at me and said, well, how many people do you know? And I said, well, and he goes, well, not really just know. I mean, how many people do you think you can pick up the phone with and have a conversation about what you do? I said, probably about 30. He goes, how many of those people do you really feel like you have a great relationship with? I said, probably 5. And he says, here's what I want you to do, Doug. I want you to call up those top 5 people, and I want you to take $100, and I want you to go sit down with them and buy them a really nice dinner or lunch. But here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to sit around and bullshit about life and your memories and your time together and pick up the tab. What I want you to do is I want you to go spend $100 on them, and I want you to have a conversation with them that goes something like this. I need your help. And I want you to start that conversation out that way, and you'll be amazed at what happens. And I was amazed at what happened. The reality is most of our friends, most of the people that truly care about us are there for us if we need them. Most of us can pick up the phone and have an idle conversation with anybody about anything if we consider them friends, or if we consider ourselves doing something as a friend would and not it being all about me. Like, I have call reluctancy when I want to pick up the phone and call somebody if I feel like it's self-serving. You know what I mean? If I call you guys up and wanted to chat with you, I have no problem calling you up, but you put me in a position where I feel like I've got to call somebody because I'm trying to get something out of them. It always puts a little reluctance in me, and I get a little apprehensive. Anybody else feel that way?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does that feel pretty normal for most of us?
Yep.
It does. It does, doesn't it? So here's the point of what I'm doing. So I'm sitting down with the people that already know me, like me, and trust me, and I'm asking them for help. And David, I don't know if you and I talked about this before or not, but I have a hard time believing that if you were to move from one house to another, or if you're about to move, Dave, and you don't ask your friends for help, or at least tell them you're moving, to allow them to offer to help, what do you think that defines your relationship as? Not very meaningful?
Right. I'm sorry.
The point of it.
Ask the question one more time. Hold on. Could you ask the question one more time?
Yep. If you move, if something significant happens in your life and you don't tell your friends about it, whether you took another job, whether you moved, whether you started dating somebody different, whether you got engaged, if you didn't communicate that, and I'm not saying posting it on Facebook or on Twitter, I'm saying if you didn't pick up the phone and have a conversation with the people that you care about and tell them about a major change in your life, what do you think their view of your relationship is with that?
Not very meaningful. They don't mean too much to you.
They don't register, right? They don't register in the top. So it goes to say that if you were to reach out to the people that care about you and you were to have a meaningful conversation about you need help, that it goes without saying that these people will probably be very willing to help you if you put a specific request in there. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely.
How many people in your lives, gentlemen, how many people that really know you, like you, care about you, are actively out there promoting your ability and your passion for helping people become homeowners? How many of the people in your lives are actually out doing that for you?
I know. Well, I know for a fact that whenever the word real estate or mortgage comes up, my mom's spreading the word that I'm in mortgages. I know that for a fact.
Okay. Good old mom.
But right, she's always trying to promote, always trying to do that. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I'll get, if I've done on Facebook, with marketing that I don't get any, none of my friends are sharing it. I mean, some of and really, I mean, even get this, which is kind of crazy, is a lot of my, I'd make an effort to make sure that everyone knows that I'm a loan officer, I'm in mortgages, and
right.
Like some of my buddies on my hockey team think I'm a realtor, and I'm out there marketing for realtors, and a lot of them think I am, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, really, when it comes down to it, not many, if any, really are out there promoting and helping me get business.
Okay. Adam, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, in a sense. I know I do have a couple of really close friends, either that I live with or that I used to live with in the past, that they know what I do, and I've not really, don't want to say like push it on them, but I mean, they know I'm a loan officer, that anytime mortgages comes up or buying a house, they bring up my name, but it's not like a ton of people.
Right. Well, I'm gonna teach you guys a little bit of a different mindset approach to this, because I honestly believe that you guys and who you know and how many people care about you, that your conversations are more centered around you guys being loan officers and less about being people who care. And this is what I mean. Most people talk about you when they remember you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You become at the forefront of their brain when you've done something for them, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
When you leave an impression on somebody, they're more apt to remember you, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the greatest strengths that we have is our relationships with the people that care about us. And sometimes it's not in the fact that we are asking that, or the fact that we're not asking, but sometimes it's in the belief system of how we ask in and of itself. One of the things that I want you guys to remember, in this is you guys, and there's a guy out there by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk. Does anybody know who this guy is?
I watch his videos every day.
Okay, so he talks about expanding your brand, okay? Each of you has a brand. So my question to each of you is, what is your brand? If your brand is not mortgages, because that's not your brand, gentlemen, you guys are not mortgages. That is not what makes you you. People like you for you. People remember you for you. People don't remember you for how good of a job you did closing a loan. You may think that, but that's a result of who you are. People remember you more for who you are. I'm sorry, for people remember you more for, my brain just reset.
No worries. I know how it goes.
Yeah, my brain just reset. Somebody walked by my office and just looked at me, and my brain just totally went off cue. I'm struggling to get back. Holy smokes. What was I just saying, gentlemen?
People remember you not for who you are, or
Correct.
not for who you are.
Yeah, people remember you for who you are. So what that means is when you're out there talking to people and you're making an impact and you show people that you care, I know this is going to sound kind of hokey because it goes against the traditional mindset of churning and burning phone calls. But I'm telling you right now, most of the realtors that you're going to interact with aren't really capable of providing you your financial freedom that you're after because they don't have their own financial freedom. We talked a couple weeks back, or Dave, maybe you and I were the only ones that talked about it, but we talked about how everybody is either in a job, or they're in a business, or they're in a career, or they're in a calling. You guys remember that little stepstone?
Yes.
Okay, so the point is that the people that you know who like you, who trust you, are probably more adamant about talking to people about you, about talking to other people about you. And by that, that means that you've got to be able to ask them for help in a very comfortable and a very non-salesy, and like you said before, Adam, a non-pushy way. So one of the things that worked really well for me was the humility of it all. And the humility of it all is tough for men, especially because we don't come from an environment that teaches us asking for help is a sign of strength. We've always been taught that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Just ask your girlfriend or significant other if you ever have to ask for directions. You're like, oh, hell no, I'm not pulling over asking anybody for directions. I got this. We have a difficult time asking for help, largely due in part to the way that we're raised. Well, the reality is that we need help. Both of you have said to me on this call that you would like to have more business. And that means you genuinely would love some help. If somebody could offer you up a chance to get some more business, you would take it. Well, here's the message that I'm trying to get across. You guys simply have to learn how to expand your brand in such a way that gives people a reason to want to talk about you to other people. So my catchphrase with a lot of the people that I talk to was always, isn't it nice to know you have a friend in the business? And here's the message behind that that resonated so well with people. I never believed that I was the best loan officer for every person that I met. I'll rephrase that. I never believed that I was the best loan officer to help out every single client that was referred to me. Every person that I talked to was a potential client, but if I truly was their friend, what would be the first thing that you do to help out your friend?
Ask them what, I mean, Jordy,
tell the truth, right? Tell the truth.
Yeah.
You would you would tell your friends the truth. It doesn't seem like it's very complicated, but you'd be amazed, right? You would tell the truth. And the only way that you could get to that place of telling the truth is if you understood what they were looking for. So you would ask the questions that would really dig deep and find out what's important to them. You would consult with them, and you would tell them the truth at the bare minimum. Every person that I ran across, every realtor, every financial planner, and every consumer that I met with, I never assumed that I was the best person to work with them. I just always believed in my heart that I was the best person for them to talk to so that they could get the right information, so that they could get pointed in the right direction. And you know what the amazing coincidence was? That every time I talked from that point of view, it was amazing how many times their path led directly to me. And I didn't push them in that direction, or I didn't lead them in that direction. I simply threw it out there. The law of reciprocity kicked in. And you guys know what the law of reciprocity is, right?
I do not.
Okay. Here's a quick example of the law of reciprocity. Adam, if you open the door for somebody at a store, what usually happens with the person that walks through that door?
They say thank you.
Yep, reciprocity. You do something great for somebody, what do they typically say?
Thank you.
Reciprocity. Everything that we do is on a seesaw. All of our relationships are balanced. Anytime somebody receives a benefit from somebody else and they acknowledge it, the seesaw goes one way. And so what we're trained to do in our lives is to say thank you and be polite, which brings that seesaw back to a level playing field. Well, the truth is that you guys spend your entire day balancing that seesaw and minimizing what you do. And the truth is that if you really looked at your business and you really look at the effort you put in and you really look at your friendships, I honestly believe that you treat everybody as if they were your friends, correct?
Yeah.
Isn't every client, don't you want every client to like you and to trust you and to honor you like your friends and your family do?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys believe that every time you pick up the phone that you are positioning yourself to be a friend to these people? Or are you positioning yourself just to be a loan officer?
I think, I mean, thinking about it, probably more on the, more or less on the second half than positioning for, to be a friend. Really is how going from positioning yourself to being a loan officer. How would you take the conversation to basically showing them what your value is for them to work with you while implementing a friendship that
Right.
I guess I don't know how to word it, but
right. What you're trying to develop is an identity. You're trying to expand your brand. You're trying to understand what it is your value is beyond mortgages. And your brand, again, is not the fact that you do mortgages. And I'll give you an example. My brand. My brand was really, really unique in the sense that I considered myself a connector. Okay? I literally, for a large percentage of my career in my office, I had a plastic container full of business cards. Hey, as a matter of fact, David, have you ever been to Jay's office and seen that business card holder that he has in his office? That's attached to his wall?
It's huge. Yeah,
that's mine.
That's yours?
That was mine. That used to be mine that I gave to him. So my role when my clients came in to meet with me, and there's a whole presentation behind it, and I'm going to go through it very quickly, but we can dissect it over the next coming weeks. When a client sat down and met with me for the first time, my first 15 minutes of the conversation was nothing to do about mortgages. It was about expanding my brand. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves because what I really wanted you guys to get a handle on is really what you have to do to put some deals in the pipeline. So I'm actually going to hold off on going into that presentation because I think it's more important to have you guys focus on generating at-bats than it is getting into the presentation once you actually have the client. Because I think both of you guys are probably pretty good at convincing a borrower to work with you, and we can work on that over the coming weeks. But the point of what I'm getting at is when you talk to the people that are in your life, you have to be able to communicate to them what your brand is. And your brand is not mortgages. Your brand is, I'm really the best person to talk to about what your mortgage options are. I don't need to be the person that does your mortgage, though in my heart I believe once I talk to you, you will want to do business with me. But every time you open your mouth and every time you speak to somebody, especially with those people in your life, the ask that you have goes a little bit like this. Hey, Adam. Hey, buddy. you know what, I've known you for a while, and I appreciate you coming out with me, and I would love to say this is kind of like a, kind of like a college hangout night, or let's get some beers and drinks and have some fun. But I really want to sit down with you and have a very serious conversation, because my business, my job that I'm in, I'm really starting to recognize that it's a career that I'm going to stay on for a while. And I've realized that the momentum that it takes to get this going isn't easy. It's not. And frankly, it's difficult at times. But somebody taught me recently that the people that care about me the most are probably the best people to help me get this going. And that's why I brought you here today, because I respect you and honor you and appreciate our friendship and our relationship for the last X amount of years. I was wondering if I could get some help from you.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So I believe that my business, its success is going to be driven based on my ability to generate referrals, meaning I want people who already know me, like me, and trust me to refer me to the people that they care about. Because I can promise you that what will happen is every person that you refer to me, you're going to get an amazing phone call back from them saying thank you to you. And what my belief is that I'm a connector. I believe that my #1 responsibility is to be a friend to the people that I work with, because I honestly believe it's kind of nice to have a friend in the business. What I want you to know is, Adam, every time you refer me somebody, I'm going to promise you that that person, whether I work with them or not, is going to call you and say thank you. But I know that it's not easy. I know that it's hard to refer people. Is there anything about me that makes you feel like I wouldn't be somebody you would want to refer out for a potential loan?
No, buddy.
Awesome. Man, that means the world to me. So here's what I'm going to need your help with. And we can talk about this in some more detail, but I want to pick your brain about the people in your life who you know that own homes right now. Because right now the market is fantastic with refinancing. Rates are unbelievable. And I'd like to just brainstorm with you about that. And what I'd like to do is get a couple names and phone numbers from you, and if I could get your commitment to kind of make an introduction so that I might be able to talk to them. Again, it isn't about me doing mortgages as much as it is me trying to connect with people to let them know what their options are. And because I'm a friend to you, and because I want to treat them as a friend, and because I want them to come back to you and say thank you, I'm going to give them the best advice, whether it's doing a loan with me or not, and at least they'll have a peace of mind knowing that they've got a friend in the business. Is that something that you and I can work on right now? Would that be possible?
Yeah, I can help you with that.
That's the kind of conversation that you have with your mom, with your best friends, with your, with the people that you consider to be close to you. Does that feel salesy, or does that feel like somebody who's coming from a place of, I know what I have, I know what I'm capable of, but I need some help to get there?
Yeah, it just feels like you're in need.
It what?
It's like it feels more like you're in need, not that you're trying to sell them something. You just want a friend to help.
Right. You're not in a position of need. You're in a position of want. There's a difference. Yeah. Salesy is needy. Wanting is friendship based. I want to help you. I want to be that source. And here's where it ends up becoming. It ends up becoming to where people start talking about you not because of the fact that you do mortgages, but the fact that you're able to give people direction and advice and counsel on information that, for a lack of a better term, is highly confusing, highly irrational, highly irregular, and for the most part, people don't understand. Truly, they don't understand. They hear what rates are, what fees are, what turn times are, but they don't really understand what goes into the home buying process. They've never had anybody consult with them. And the reality is, that's where we stand to do the best, that's where we stand to expand our brand the best. You guys have a tremendous network of friends and family and people that you run into every single day. It's not that you're proficient in FHA, VA, conventional. That's not what people talk to their friends and their family about. People talk to their friends and family about, oh, you're buying your house, your first home. Wow, that's awesome. You know what? I got somebody that just talked to me the other day, says he's the best person to talk to about getting a mortgage, about what your options are getting a mortgage, even if it means you don't have to do a mortgage with him. Man, I think you should call him first so that you can get a handle on which direction you need to go in. Then it becomes a matter of how you communicate your value to them at that point. That determines whether their eyes get fixated on you or not. The point of the call is that unless you guys are having these meaningful conversations with the people in your life, you're more willing to go out there and sell yourself to the street than you are to the people who already built a relationship and friendship with you. Don't ignore the people that are closest to you. Don't ignore the people that care about you. Don't ignore those friends that you've built years having a relationship with. But don't ask them for a referral. Ask them for help, because you're going to make them look good because they now have a friend in the business. Is that resonating with you guys at all?
Yeah,
definitely.
It definitely does.
How is that different? Well, first and foremost, the approach that I'm giving you is a significantly different approach than what both of you guys said. It's a very organic approach. Does this approach feel like it would gain some traction with the people you guys talk to, or do you feel like it would just kind of come by as being just yet another sales pitch?
I think it can gain some traction. I think really, I mean, personally for my, I guess what I would have that would make me a little bit have to get used to is talking. I talk with friends about business. I guess, and you're not necessarily asking for business, but you know, I guess really combining, you know, sitting your friend down and not, you know, instead of going out, you know, and grabbing a drink and talking about hockey or football or sports, you're sitting there talking, you know, asking them to help you, and I guess really just getting over the barrier of, you know, saying, you know, hey, I'm, you know, I'm looking for help, and the only thing that I could see that would be, how can you put it, but if they're friendly, they wouldn't think that way, so never mind. But I could
keep going.
But no, what I'm saying is the only thing that I would have a personal issue with on my side that I would have to get over is basically just is having, you know, reaching out to your friends and asking for help, and, you know, bringing them in on business, and not trying to sell them on it, but ask for help, but you know, kind of cross the barrier of separating you know, your business from your personal life to combine it both together. And
you guys have to understand, Adam, or David, you got to understand something. Your personal life is your business. The reason is because every person out there that has an income, that has a credit, who doesn't own a home or even owns a home, is a client. If you do not believe that every time you step out of your home, whether you're in a social situation or a professional situation, that your mind should be geared towards trying to find ways to expand your brand. I want you guys to remember this. Your brand is not mortgages. And I know that sounds a little off-putting at the moment, but your brand is not about mortgages. Your brand is developing relationships. Your brand is being a connector. Your brand is making other people feel great that they know you. There's a difference. Somebody said to me a couple months back, says, my job is to help improve people's lives. My job is to impact people in a way that makes them feel better. I just happen to be able to do that doing mortgages. Like that's why I knock on their door, but why they invite me in is because of who I am, not what I'm not my service that I'm offering. And the reality is that people don't talk about you because you post things about FHA and social media and conventional and products. People like and people share that stuff, but the reality is the marketing exposure that you're getting is people glossing over it, and who do you think they end up going to? They end up going to somebody that they know. And the truth is that whenever you present yourself in front of a large group of people or you post something on Facebook, you're exposing your imagery to people, which is great. But unless you have a personal conversation and an intimate dialogue with them, they're never going to decide to work with you because the information is easily available anywhere. So if I was expanding my brand, it would be more along the lines of what I said earlier. I'm not interested in doing a mortgage for everybody. I'm not even interested in doing a loan with you. I'm interested in working with you to help figure out what your options are so that you're educated to make the best choice for your family. And by doing that, inherently by giving it away, the law of reciprocity kicks in, and because they feel like you valued them as a person first, as a person who cares, they're drawn into you because nobody else does it that way. People refer you without hesitation, not because you're good at selling, but because you convince people that you're a human being, because you're a human being that cares about people. And people appreciate that right back. Think about the last time a friend of yours asked for help. Did you look at them and go, oh my God, why? No. God, no, that's uncomfortable. Put yourself in the position if somebody came to you that you cared about, asked for help. I'd bend over backwards. I literally would jump through hoops of fire to help my friends. And David, if your fear is between your ears, it's not justified. People are going to want to help. Go ahead.
No, so the way that you just put it to where it's like if a friend asks you for help, you jump, you do it no problem. And thinking about it that way, it's like, okay, that makes more sense. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. It's the law of reciprocity. When you help out enough people get what they want, they're going to help you get what you want. And I'm not saying that in the sense of you got to go out there and be a good Samaritan to everybody. But when you are top of mind to people, when you're out there making connections and you're explaining to people the value that you bring to the table, which is, I want to help people make the right decision. How many people do we know that have gone and bought a home or gone through a car buying process or went and used a contractor and they've had bad experiences? I mean, the last time I shopped for a car, I had a miserable experience. And I've been doing sales for 20 plus years. But I didn't have a choice. I was stuck with the salesperson because of some agreement that the dealership had. And that was my fault for not calling the people that I know, but Acura doesn't really have a big presence here. So unless you know somebody at the Suburban or Ann Arbor Acura dealers, it's tough to find a sales rep. So I'm loyal to the brand, but I'm not loyal to the dealership. So I couldn't find anybody. So I went in there, and it was a mistake. I hated it. The process was horrible. The truth is that I would rather work with somebody that I know, like, and trust and who cares about me. I'd pay more money for that than I would somebody who I don't know and like and trust. So again, guys, this week I want you to really focus on one thing: your brand. Your brand is not mortgages. Stop trying to tell people you are a loan officer. First and foremost, you guys are business owners and entrepreneurs. You just happen to be writing loans. The truth in the matter is that your brand is helping people. I would love to help out somebody you know. Make the right choice. Make the right decision. I want to teach people about what's reality in the mortgage industry. Now more than ever, it's confusing as all get out. Anybody who's thinking about buying a home can go to a bank or go to a credit union or go on the internet, and the truth is there's three things, and David, you and I talked about this, there's three things that the internet, the banks, and the credit unions don't do. They don't consult with you. They don't try to figure out what your friends and family's best interests are. That's it. They just don't. They don't consult with them. And my number one concern right now is I want to make that relationship that you introduced me to so happy that they call you back and say thank you. How many times has that happened for you? Probably never. Well, that's my goal. So no matter what happens, you can rest assured that my number one goal is to make sure that they call you back and say thank you. So, hey, can you make me a commitment that you're going to introduce me to at least 2 or 3 people in your life who you care about, who could use some great advice? And again,
I mean, I agree with all this, but I feel like my main struggle is is getting in that correct mindset, not the sales mindset, more of the relationship. I just want to help you mindset. Not because then the sales mindset is what I'm usually
You're used
in
to.
when I'm talking business, and then that's when the call reluctancy comes along because I'm trying to get something from them. But I think that's my main struggle.
Okay, so here's a conversation we'll dig into deeper, and these calls are going to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and there'll be so much information I'll give. Or are you a super servant? And there's a definition to both, but in your mind, what my mind's definition is may be different for you. Where do you see yourself, David? Do you see yourself as a superstar or a super servant?
I say a little bit of both because with the super servant thing, I think I do a little bit too much and I'm too much of an enabler. And so I think I'm a little bit of both. I'm working on becoming a superstar, but I think that I am a bit of an enabler, and I have some super servant as well included.
Okay. How about you, Adam?
From my definition, I think I'd say more superstar, but at the same time, I feel like I'd want to be more of a super servant.
Do you guys both have your computers up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm turning on the screen now. Superstar versus super servant. Superstar, it's ego-based, guys. Superstar cares nothing but themselves. Competitive driven, counts deals, demonstrates obsession, focuses on sales, strives to be liked, and is motivated by recognition. Super servant has character, focuses on servant, demonstrates commitment, counts relationships, is value driven, strives to be trustworthy, and is motivated by growth. Your mindset needs to get away from the sales belief, because consumers, and you guys have been in situations, you can tell a salesman from a teacher, can't you?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been into a situation where you feel like the person that you're talking to is trying to sell you versus the person that you're talking to is just really there to answer questions and to help you out?
Definitely.
Who are you more likely to engage a conversation with?
The second there to help you.
Yeah, damn right. So you have to ask yourself, am I a superstar or am I a super servant? And the reality is that we all want to be superstars because that's what we're made to believe based on our athletics growing up and our competitive behavior. The truth is that when it gets into business, people want to communicate with somebody that demonstrates that they care about them. People want to work with you and buy services and products from you based on a feeling. Do you guys understand that there's a science out there called neuro-linguistic programming? And in that process, it talks a little bit about parts of the brain that create movement. Do you guys know that there's two pieces of the brain? One's called the neural cortex and the other one's called the limbic brain. Have you guys ever heard those before?
Yeah.
Not so much. Science wasn't my strong part.
All right, no worries. Adam, what do you know about both of those parts of your brain?
I don't know a ton about them. I remember them from school, but are they on opposite sides of your brain?
You know what, to be honest, I don't even know that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where they're located, but I can tell you what their functions are.
Okay, well, you do that, then I'll just tell you where they're located.
All right, perfect. So the limbic part of your brain is the part of your brain that feels. That's the part of your brain that emotion is driven. That's the part of your brain that thinks about love. And if you've ever thought about the when do you describe acts or do you describe feelings?
Feelings.
And it's hard to describe feelings because the limbic part of your brain doesn't do analytics. That's what the neocortex part of your brain does. The neocortex part of your brain is the engineer side of you. That's the black and white. That's the spreadsheet. That's the list of features. That's all the details. It's all the analytics of every thought that goes through your brain. But the problem is that we spend our lives in the neurocortex in business. We talk about facts and figures and rates and all this shit that nobody at the end of the day makes a decision on. People don't make decisions, and this is a scientifically proven fact. People do not make decisions based on what the neurocortex tells them. They use that to analyze the data to make a good decision, but at the end of the day, people's decision to make a movement or to make a purchase or to act on something comes from the limbic part, which is the feeling part, which is the emotional part. That's why they say buying a home is a very emotional process. The reality is every one of us tends to buy things not just based on price. We tend to buy things based on feeling. Whether it's the car you're driving, whether it's the person you're hanging out with, there's a feeling that's evoked out of it. I can guarantee you that neither one of you knows how much you paid for the last car that you bought or you whatever. But I guarantee you that if you close your eyes, you can remember some of the best memories and feel what it was like to drive it. Any idea? Is that something that you guys can relate to?
I can tell you the exact price of my car, and because I guess with that might be a bad example, but I can see.
No, it's not. It's not a bad example because go a little bit farther. Could you have found the price of your car cheaper somewhere else?
Well, yeah, I did, and then I went back to the person, they matched it.
Okay. Could you have gone farther out and found somebody else?
Somebody else that might have found it cheaper?
Yep.
Well, I guess, yeah, I guess
okay.
if I called around a couple other places, I probably could.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you could have, no doubt. I'm sure dealers would have been aggressive enough. Why did you decide to buy the car from that dealer in the first place if you knew you could have got it cheaper someplace else?
Fair enough. I like the guy that sold me the car, and he was personable, and so I just completely destroyed myself on that.
And I knew you were going to because it happens every single time. You guys just answered the question of the day. The reality is you can always go out there and find something cheaper, but you end up buying something from somebody because of the way they made you feel. Now, because of how they looked at you and treated you and how you felt about the transaction, also says that you can go back to them and say, listen, I would have done the same. I'd go back to my friends. Listen, if it was $100 cheaper, I don't believe that you would have gone back and asked for $100. But the price difference must have been big enough for it to warrant going back and going, hey, listen, can you help me out here? The truth is that you're always going to find lenders out there that are going to discount their rates and their fees, but at the end of the day, those companies are going to come and go. But I'm willing to bet you the ones that build their business on relationships and understand how the value of the law of reciprocity applies and the value of being super servant applies, these are the ones that are going to stick around. I made a career in this business of 20 plus years, not because I was a hell of a salesman, just because I cared about people, and everyone that I talked to, I focused my energy on what I called the triangle of trust. I don't know if we've talked about that yet or not, but I have a dialogue and an entire presentation how I spend my first 15 minutes with my clients to get them to buy into my philosophy so that they would want to work with me, not based on price and fees and costs, but because they believe that I wanted the best for them and their family. And all I'm getting you guys to understand is you have to start shifting your brain from your brand is not about doing loans. Adam, you don't have a brand of mortgages. If you want to be a branded mortgage loan officer, then you're no different than any other LO that's out there peddling loans across the country. Your differentiation is, I'm not looking to be a mortgage, I'm not looking to be a loan officer for you. That's not what you want. I'm looking to be a friend in the business for you. That's my soapbox for today, boys. What do you think?